There are times in our lives we all have moments of clarity. You don't know when or how they will affect you, but you know something changed. Your senses awaken, your eyes see things differently, and it happened to me. You see, I've always wanted to run around the National Mall in Washington, D.C. As a soldier, running is a way of life, and what better way to reflect on a life of service than a leisurely stroll around the heart of our democracy? So I strapped on my shoes and proceeded to the Lincoln Memorial, where I would launch my 4-mile run, meeting up with my wife Deb in about 40 minutes. Yes, that's 10-minute miles, because the old chassis is not as sleek as it once was. Now, I also promised myself that I would always thank veterans for their service. You see, it wasn't always sexy to be a soldier, and for a group like our Vietnam veterans, it was sometimes downright dangerous to even be identified as a soldier when they came home. Many didn't volunteer like I did. They were plucked from society, and they lived with the mental scars they have to this day. Now, Vietnam veterans are also a group that are quietly emerging to the subtle reminders of their service. A small Vietnam service ribbon on a sport jacket, a baseball cap with their unit and their location, or something that we as citizens can identify with their service. Well, as I began my much anticipated run, I noticed a group of Vietnam veterans. It was the hats. So I whipped over, I thanked them for their service, and I listened to a quick story. Then I took off down the National Mall only to see another group of Vietnam veterans. So I whipped over, I thanked them, and I took off. Little did I know, there was a Vietnam veterans reunion at our National Mall. 2 hours later, with my wife wondering if I'd been run over by a bus, I finished that 40-minute run. To date, the best run of my life. You see, those veterans were testing the waters of acceptance. They were healing. There it was, that oh my God moment when your mind explodes with an idea that you cannot suppress. My way to help my soldiers and our veterans heal. During my deployments to the Middle East in 2005 and 2009, I was amazed at soldiers when you would ask them what they missed about home. And they would respond, my family, my friends. But then it was the fishing opener, deer camp, and the 4 seasons of Minnesota. You know, winter, summer, winter, and winter. Not at all. It was the smell of spring as our world comes alive. A summer breeze off of one of our lakes. Fall and the crackle of oak leaves and a chill in the air. And winter and the no-kidding chill of minus 20 degrees and a lake full of fish houses. You see, we are tied to our environment. It is who we are. The need to touch, smell, and feel everything around us creates our identity, our character, our core. You see, while deployed, I was scared, angry, lonely, and vulnerable, and so were my soldiers. It didn't matter if you were in a direct combat role or a support role. Your mind goes through a transformation and you change. Some things become much more clear, while others are compartmentalized and buried. I remember staring up into the Iraq sky at night and thinking, is Deb seeing the same thing? Has she forgotten about me? Will she remember me if I don't make it back? All living veterans know this feeling of change. And today, veterans of all ages suffer from those invisible scars they keep hidden. Well, I decided I had to do something to create resiliency in my soldiers and the veterans who shared these experiences, and the outdoors was that mechanism. You see, we had some great programs for disabled soldiers. So I figured I had 2 things I needed to solve. Why just disabled veterans, when we couldn't really define what a disabled veteran was? And second, how do we break down the barriers between currently serving soldiers and veterans of all ages and services? You see, I believe we're doing an amazing job with physically disabled veterans, the wounds that we can see. But we have only scratched the surface on our mentally wounded veterans. And while we've made progress, the next 10 years of discovery may be the most important in our currently serving soldiers and veterans' lives. We've spent millions providing counselors and mental health professionals and watched our soldiers and veterans deny these services for any reason, from stigma associated with mental illness to what they believe is charity. That is not what many are looking for. They're looking for the opportunity to self-heal with people they trust, other veterans. Veterans Outdoor programs bring these diverse groups together, creating the opportunity to break the silence that plagues military families, including the inability to trust those closest to us or unknowingly hurting them sharing our experiences. So I socialized the idea and I developed a mission statement because I'm an Army guy and I will have a mission statement. To create a no agenda, no counselor, non-scripted, socially motivated environment inviting soldiers and veterans of all eras together in an outdoor setting, sharing their passion for the outdoors with their stories of service. Sharing their experience, the fear, the loneliness, the anger, the passion, the patriotism, the tears. Homegrown, all-American, Midwestern resiliency training free, and they don't even know it's happening because it's real. Now, I love hunting and all outdoor sports, but those that know me best know my passion is fishing. So upon return of my second deployment to the Middle East, I came up with the idea of trolling for the troops. I reached out to the veteran service organizations and my outdoor colleagues, and they enthusiastically jumped on board. The program puts a currently serving soldier with a veteran of all areas and services together with a professional angler guide for a day on the water, and that was a home run. But the real home run was the social environment bringing these veterans and soldiers together. Through these programs, it has been my honor to host many personalities, but none more revered in the state of Minnesota than legendary Minnesota Vikings football coach, Bud Grant. Bud is a World War II veteran. In the first couple of appearances, Bud signed hats and gave autographs, and he participated with his veteran friends. But on the third visit, Bud got up on the stage and told a story about heroes and stars. Now, I spent some time talking about stars and the effect of stars and how they came and went and their abilities, but then his eyes welled up, his voice wavered, and he began to talk about heroes. Heroes he served with in World War II. Heroes from his hometown who he knew by name that were lost. Heroes that he's met since. And then Bud Grant said my name. Bud Grant said my name. And he called me a hero. I'm not a hero. I'm just Scott. And if Scott can do this, anyone can. But then I looked at a table next to me, and I saw a group of Vietnam veterans and currently serving Iraq veterans holding hands, and I couldn't stop the tears. There was a realization that Bud was talking about heroes like them. Now, those are tough. Those are emotion-filled, but the pride in that room, oh my. You see, resilience doesn't happen in mass. It happens one person at a time, one experience at a time by looking into someone's eyes and into their souls and then opening yours to them. I experienced a Korean War veteran and his grandson, a currently Iraq veteran, share stories they'd never told anyone. A professional angler guide who begged his Vietnam veteran father to participate reluctantly show up and meet a Vietnam veteran who served in the same place at the same time. He came up to me, physically grabbed my hands, looked at me, and said, "Thank you for meeting my son and helping him open my eyes." Now, thank you for your service. Now, while a powerful and a symbol of our citizens' appreciation, it needs to be more. I suggest this. Thank you for your service shouldn't be the end of a conversation, but the start of a friendship. That is exactly what outdoor programs for our veterans does. It doesn't matter what type of outdoor experience, it just so happens that mine is fishing. The point is, you create resiliency one person at a time, one family together, one community gaining a more clear understanding, listening, and capturing the stories of our currently serving veterans, helping them heal. That's why these programs matter. This is your call to action. Get up. Get involved. If you don't know where to start, call Scott. Because if he can do it, so can you. I thought that was an idea worth sharing. Thank you.